Hey, everybody. Jen Lehner here with a very special training with my coach, Ron Reich. Cannot wait for you to meet him if you don't already know him. I am so ready to dig into this. Let's go. Okay, so here we are with someone who is very near and dear to my heart and who has played a very, very important role in my business over the last year and a half or so. And um, uh, in fact, I mean, really, I don't know what I would do without him. So I want him to share his wisdom with us, and I'm going to quit blabbering and just hand it over to my friend and coach, Ron Reich. Hey, Ron.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. And yeah, right back at you. It's it's just so awesome to have the relationship and the connection we have since we got connected a couple of I think it was a couple of years ago through our good friend Nicole Culver. And yeah, you've always been one of my absolute favorite people and clients in the world, one of my most valued A player clients. It's been A players, it's been super awesome. And yeah, really excited to share what we have today. What I'm going to be going over is 5 ways that anyone can increase their revenue, and also 5 ways anyone can increase their revenue without having to get a lot of additional traffic. That's one of the key things, and I'll talk about a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a second in a little bit more detail. But before I get into that, I'll just very, very quickly tell you about my background. If you don't know who I am, again, my name is Ron Reich. I've been selling online for over 10 years. I actually made my first sale in January 2007. And since that time, I've launched 50 of my own products in various niches. And then over the last 3 years, what I've really been focusing on is helping experts go, primarily emerging mission-driven experts, make their first 6 figures and then go from 6 to 7 figures using kind of my various secret sauce that we're going to be talking about today. Prior to that, I worked with people like our friend Todd Herman, Selena Sue, Brian Levesque, Hay House Publishing, Denise Duffel Thomas, as kind of a behind the scenes type person. And I just kind of personal story before we get into it is that I really enjoyed doing what I'm doing now. And it actually did take me a long time to put myself out there as an expert. I was really, really nervous about it. And this actually dates back to when I was in the second grade, when I came home from school right before the summer started. And my mom told me that I was going to have to repeat the second grade. And because of that, I always had this feeling throughout most of my life that there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't smart enough. And that's kind of why I was always this behind the scenes person. But I knew if I wanted to make a bigger impact, I really had to put myself out there. So that's what I had to do today. And as you can tell from right now, I'm not the most polished speaker. I'm kind of awkward and all that. But so if anybody can do it, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. All right. With that little preamble out of the way, let's get right into it. So I have essentially five profit levers that are going to really rapidly scale and increase your business. Some of these are counterintuitive, and so we're going to go over them. And I'm going to go over them in detail, give you a good overview of them. Then I'm going to show you how to apply them, and then if people want to go deeper on really applying them, I'll show you how to do that as well. But before I get into that, I just want to point out one counterintuitive mistake that many people in the expert and coaching space are making. This is a huge mistake that most people are making. What they think is that they need more traffic. Here's the thing. The truth of the matter is that the obsession that many people have with traffic is actually hurting their success. It's actually hurting their ability to increase their revenue. There are so many people who believe that, and you might have fallen into this category at times as well. There are so many people that believe that if all they had was more traffic, they would make more money. Oh, if I just had, they might have a list of 500 people. Well, once I get 10,000 people on my list, then I'll make $1 million. Or once I get 20,000 people on my list, once I get 100,000 people on my list, then I'll make $1 million. And here's just a little thing I'd like to point out to you is that nobody has enough traffic. There is no business on earth that is satisfied with the amount of traffic that they get. I can think of 3 really good examples. Here are 3 examples that would love to get more traffic. Example number 1, Google. Google would love more traffic. Amazon would also love more traffic. Facebook would also love more traffic. Point I'm getting at, the 3 biggest websites in the world, they want more traffic. Again, we all want more leads and more traffic. But the truth of the matter is that it really is not about the quality, or you know what I'm going to say, the quantity of traffic that you have. It really is about the quality of the traffic that you have. And more importantly than that, it's really about if you really want to be an A player, if you if you really want to, having a nice consistent 6-figure business, doing $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, even doing getting into the $500,000 to $1 million per year. What you really need to be able to have the ability to do now is you have to have the ability to maximize your existing resources. This is the point that I'm trying to get. This is one of the main points, is that you already have. If you are listening to this, you're in Jen's world. She is an amazing A player who attracts other A players. If you're listening to my voice right now, I promise you that you already have everything within your reach to build a very, very successful multi-6-figure business. I promise you that. But you got to really, it takes effort to kind of maximize your resources. It's easier to think that there's something outside of our business and outside of ourselves that's going to get us there. You are your most important asset, and you have all the assets that you need. All right. So having said that, let's get into the 5. These are actually the 5. We're going to call them profit levers that each of them of themselves are very, very powerful, but the magic really happens when you combine them. This is like the real secret sauce. And a little bit of a funny, interesting thing here is that what I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to show you, it's overall very simple, but it's very magical. And there are a lot of consultants, like literal $1 million consultants that charge a lot of money really to look at businesses and do the exact same thing that I'm going to be doing with you right now. I personally, my rates are relatively expensive. To work with me for a year, it costs about $100,000 as like a high-end one-on-one client. I actually have friends and colleagues that actually charge $500,000 a year because they work with bigger companies, like kind of corporations and kind of like $100 million plus companies, and they're basically doing the exact same thing to these businesses that I'm going to be showing you right here. So this stuff is really, really powerful. I'm really going to show as a bonus of what you're getting today. You're going to learn exactly how to become $1 million marketing consultant if that would be beneficial to do. By the way, can you hear me? There you go. Okay, cool. People can hear me because I'm not seeing Jen here. So okay, cool. All good. So anyways,
hey Ron, I'm down here in the green room. I got you. And we got plenty of people chatting over here in the chat. I mean, they're just making comments. And if we get any questions, I'll interrupt you, but they're loving it. So thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, cool. So let me quickly go into the 5 profit levers, and then I'll show you how these plays out. I'm going to give you a brief overview. Then I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of an example of what this might look like, and then I'll go through each of them in a little bit more detail. So first, we have the price lever. We have the price lever, then we have the customer lever, then we have the conversion lever, then we have the leads lever, then we have the time lever. So price, customers, conversions, leads, and time. So really quickly, and we'll go over into them in a little more detail. So first of all, price. If you just raise your prices, you'll make more money. And then customers. This is one of the most underutilized. We'll talk about this a little bit more in a second. The other one is selling more to your existing customers. This is typically the highest leverage thing that a person can possibly do in their business, but they totally ignore it because they always want to find new traffic. Then we have conversions. We'll talk about that. I'll give you my 2 absolute best conversion acceleration techniques on the planet that work time and time again. Nothing is more powerful than these two. Then we have the leads lever. I'm really not going to talk about that one much because that's the one that everybody thinks is the one thing they need. They just think, oh, I just need more leads. And then we have the time lever. So the way this works is, let me see how I want to explain this. Actually, I'll actually go through each of them in more detail, and then I will actually give a couple case studies. Okay, so first thing we want to consider is the price lever. Most likely, you can, especially if you're an expert. I think probably everybody here listening to this is a kind of expert consultant or teaches courses or something along those lines. Most likely, you can probably increase your prices by 50%, by at least 50%, and it might not have any negative effect on your conversions. You can probably increase your prices by at least 50%, and you'll make the exact same amount of sales as you are right now. That's kind of a pretty easy example. Like, for example, if you have a course that, actually, let me check in with Jen here. Jennifer, what's the mix of people who are kind of doing courses plus consulting plus physical products? That would just give me a little bit of a.
Our audience today, and basically in my audience in general, is made up of course creators and coaches, I would say.
And what would be do you have any sense of people who are focused on more on courses or more on like higher end coaching programs?
I mean, I think they're doing both.
They're doing both. Okay. Okay. Cool.
I mean, like me, I'm doing high end coaching, but I'm also focused on courses.
Got it. Oh, cool. All good. Just want to get a sense because sometimes there's nights where it's mostly focused on courses. Other times they're mostly focused. So all good. So a couple things to consider when it comes to prices are that, often, especially if you're selling, basically, really honestly, almost anything you're selling, especially if you're selling something like a course that's low end, like if you have $1,000 course and you raise the price to $1,500, it's probably going to have no negative effect on your conversions. And same thing, if you're selling something high end, like if you have a $5,000 coaching program that's selling and you raise the price to $7,500, it's probably going to have no negative effect on your income. And a couple things about prices are just a few kind of keys to keep in mind here is that, again, raising your prices, it essentially is the easiest and most high leverage thing you can possibly do. Because essentially, if all you did was raise your prices, if you were able to raise your prices by, let's say, 100%, which people can actually, I'll show you some examples. People can raise their prices by 1,000%, which I'll show you in a second. You can do that. If all you did was that, you can essentially double your business, right? And there's a few reasons why this is so powerful. One of them is because we have this innate belief. It's wired into our DNA. We really believe that more expensive equals better. We can't not believe that more expensive equals better. If you go to the store, right, and you see the steaks, go to the steak aisle and you see the $5 steak, and then you see the $50 steak, you naturally believe that the $50 steak is better. Or if you see the $10 bottle of wine and a $1,000 bottle of wine, you're gonna think that the $1,000 bottle of wine is better because that's just how we think about these things. So when you raise your prices, again, you're not only signaling to the world, kind of like internally, that you're the best. They're also seeing you in a higher light, if that makes sense. Now, the only kind of quote unquote catch here when it comes to this is that it does take some mindset things. Some people, it's really the extent that you're confident in raising your prices and standing behind your offer. To the extent you're willing to do that, the more you can raise your prices. That's one thing to consider. And the other reason why increasing your prices is so important is because it's not 10 times harder, for example, to sell a $1,000 product than it is to sell a $10,000 product. Actually, sometimes it can be a lot easier. And there's a lot of things we can do. So I'll just tell you my extreme example is one of my earlier businesses, I mentioned I used to work in a couple of different niches. My first business, or actually my second business, was in the dog training niche, where I sold $27 ebooks on how to train your Shih Tzu. That's the breed I was focused on. And it was actually a lot harder for me to sell $27 dog training ebooks than it was for me to sell my later, when I got into consultant, my $25,000 consulting packages, because there was a lot more moving parts. I had to have all these like funnels and all these upsells and downsells and all this automation. Whereas when I sold my first $25,000 coaching program, all I had to do is get someone on the phone and make my offer, right? So there's a lot less moving parts to it. And just another thing to consider here is that I think a few people are familiar with this, but really, when it comes to a high-end offer, it's really about the value and it's about the transformation you provide. And so a lot of times, and you can actually charge a lot more for that than you think you can. So that's why most likely, if you're listening to this and if all you have is a course that you're selling for, $500 to $1,000 or $2,000, most likely you could basically just take that course and add like some coaching, add essentially a coaching component to it, maybe do some group calls, maybe throw in a couple one-on-one calls, for example, in like an 8-week container. And you can overnight change your $500 course to a $5,000 group program. And again, your ability to do that, the only barrier from you doing that is your confidence and your ability to stand behind your offer. So price is super duper important. I obviously I could talk more about this, but we have a lot to get through. So, okay, the second lever, and this is typically in addition to price, and they're all of kind of equal importance, but this one is kind of one that often is the lowest hanging fruit, is essentially selling more to your existing customers. Selling more to your existing customers and clients is oftentimes it's really the easiest thing. It's the easiest way for someone to increase their business. And it's oftentimes the most overlooked thing. Why is this? I think a lot of it is, so one of the kind of marketing constructions that we know is that it is 10 times easier to sell an existing customer, someone who already knows, likes, and trusts us, than it is to acquire a new customer. But again, there's a lot of things that go to this, but I think the biggest thing is that it's like kind of in our DNA. We believe that new is better. We always agree that the grass is always greener. There's this psychological idea of hedonic adaptation. We get used to the things that we had, and we always think that something better and different is out there. So as a result of that, we ignore the fact that we actually have a lot going for us between our literally right under our nose. And so here's the thing. One of the things I talk about is, oftentimes making money is like dieting. The more offers you make, the more money you make. And that's generally true. The more offers you make to just your general audience who hasn't bought from you before, the more money you're going to make. But it's exponentially true that the more offers you make to your existing clients and customers, or people who've purchased from you in the past, they are going to they're going to buy from you even more. And there's this is another kind of psychological hack that hopefully you can really understand this, is that a lot of us, I know Jennifer talks about this idea, we talk about this idea of marketing capital, is that we feel as though that to our list, let's say we have a list or audience, we don't want to be hammering them over the head with promotions all the time. We feel as though we need to kind of balance like how much we're selling with quote unquote giving value and giving content and things like that. And that's super cool. I think there is something to that. But the thing to consider is that your customers, the people who purchase from you, especially your higher end people, they want to hear from you. They actually want to buy things from you. So it's like kind of like this, it's exponentially powerful, because not only do they already want to buy from you, so they're more susceptible to buying, but it also gives you, so not only are they going to be more likely to convert, but they also are more into you selling them more stuff, giving them more offers. They want more offers from you. Does that make sense? So I see you're here, Jennifer. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you about the dieting You said it's like dieting, and I missed that
Oh
analogy.
yeah. Sorry. Oh yeah. So I forgot. I didn't. I know we're going fast here because
And also, I wanted to tell you, you have more time than I told you initially. So you've got another like 40 minutes. Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. So what I was going to say, the whole dieting thing is, so when it comes to anyone who's, if you're listening to this, most likely you tried to lose weight in the past, and there's so many different diets out there, right? There is, the keto diet is popular. There's the paleo diet. There's the bacon only diet. I know there's a guy who lost weight only eating Twinkies. Then there's just kind of like all these different diets. But the truth of the matter is, if you're looking to lose weight, for really 99% of people, losing weight is as simple as essentially, exercise, eating less, exercising more, extending more energy than you take in with food. And again, and then making money is very similar in the sense that, yeah, there's a lot of complicated things, but really it's about the more offers you make, the more money you're going to make. It's just like calories in, calories out, more offers, more money. That's kind of the metaphor I wanted to give you there. So, anyways, back to customers. Um, this is what else is homework assignment. If you have existing customers or clients, so when I think of customers, I typically think of that in my head as people who purchase products, typically, like who just purchase like digital products or courses, and then clients in my head, I think about that as someone who you actually talk to in like a group program or in like a one-on-one coaching environment, or if you provide services for people. But either way, if some of us have both customers and clients based on the definitions that I'm using. But here's what I'm saying. If you have any customers or clients at all, if all you did was like in the short term, like if your homework assignment in the next 48 hours, make an offer to your existing customers or clients, I would imagine that is going to be a worthwhile activity. And the other thing we want to be doing is we want to regularly get into the habit, get into the practice of just making more offers to our existing customers. We want to think about our customers as an asset, kind of like the same way we would consider like a house, that like an investment property. That if you have an investment property, you have to keep. There's upkeep and things like that. You got to make sure that it's nice, and things along those lines. With your customers, it's the same way. Think about them as an asset that you want to nurture and grow over time. You want to keep that. You really want to have customers for life. And so part of the result of that, of course, is by serving them. You want to, of course, give them content and help them get the results they want. But you're also serving them by selling them, by inviting them to the next thing for them. So this is one thing that if you do it, you're again, and here's one of those things. If you have customers, so here's just a couple of things to consider. Is that if you have kind of going down the lines of what we're talking about here, if you have existing customers, but both, better if both. But let's say you have some existing customers, and you also have kind of a captive audience, but you haven't sold them anything expensive yet. You literally could probably double, triple your business overnight. Like if all you've been doing is selling courses, and you have like a few hundred customers, for example, and then you sell them, and then you launch a high-end group program. I'm not joking. You can double or triple your business in the next 30 days. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So this is one of the first things Ron had me do in A Players, and it blew my mind. I have plenty of courses, my membership site. He said, what about a high-end offer for coaching? And I was like, okay, I'll do what you say. And then the rest is history. My revenue increased double, and it was like the smartest thing I could have done, but I didn't think of it. You thought of it.
There you go. That's what I'm here for. So that's kind of this. That's again. I get very passionate about this. I can talk about this one for a long time. Another just really kind of tactical thing to consider is I highly recommend, if you do have customers, really even if you just have a few clients, and if you're using email marketing, which I imagine you are, you want to have like your main prospect list, and then also have a separate customer list where you send them. Not only do you send them, this is the VIP list strategy. Not only do you send them like special offers on a regular basis, but you also do send them like exclusive content on the regular basis. If you do that, you're going to get a lot of good progress. And a super duper extra credit thing is if you actually send your customers like a physical newsletter in the mail. That is probably one of the best things you could possibly do. There's a few moving parts to it, but for those brave souls, that would be a thing to consider. Okay. Next thing we have is sales conversions. So now we're talking about converting your sales. We're talking about converting your. We're talking about both conversions on your sales pages as well as conversions on your like if you're basically sales calls, if you're having sales conversations with people. So we're talking about on your pages, like if you have a sales page that sells a product, and we're talking about sales conversations. So here's what it comes down to. When it comes to conversion, now again, when people think about sales conversions, okay, two things here. So we can to be totally honest, for a lot of people listen to this, going really deep down the rabbit, like if you're not doing really big numbers and you're if you're not already doing at least 100 to really more, if you're not really doing at least, let's say $250,000 a year, getting really into like improving your copy. You want your copy to be good for sure, but really spending a lot of time with a lot of testing and things like that on your sales pages, I don't really think that's going to be the best use of your time. What I think is kind of the most higher leverage things to do is, again, I'm not saying don't prioritize copy, but I'm just saying don't try to become the world's greatest copywriter. There's just easier ways to increase conversions. So the way I look to increase conversions, there's essentially kind of three ways that are rapidly going to increase your conversions. One of them is to can I do let's see.
You want to share your screen?
No. I'm just trying to like come up with some good alliteration here. Okay, but basically, I'll just basically the way you can reach your conversion. It's basically meaningful connections plus marketing events plus we'll just call it the $1 million conversations. My third M there isn't as good. So here's the thing: when it comes the best way you're going to increase your conversions, really. And I've done full trainings. I've done like 2-day seminars on this, is really by increasing the connection that you have with your audience. This is this idea of being what I call a micro celebrity, where you kind of become this larger than life figure in the eyes of your carefully crafted audience. And the important thing there is, there's this idea that money moves to status. Think about Kylie Jenner, the youngest female billionaire in the world. I'm not going to go too down that rabbit hole right now because it's just it's a little bit time consuming. But the point I'm getting at is that the more you can put out your DNA to your audience, like put out what makes you uniquely you, the more you're going to convert. So really what that means often it's really about getting them connected to you by things beyond your expertise, by getting them connected to you as a person. And that's by showing yourself as a multifaceted personality. That's, oftentimes could be talking about your family. In my case, I talk a lot about my dog, and I talk about right now my girlfriend. She's in Colombia, and I'm not allowed to enter in Colombia. So we've had this a little bit this romantic adventure, and when I talk about that, it does. It's all true stuff, and it's all from the heart. But it does make people kind of connected to me, and they're kind of following they're paying attention to the romance story in a lot of ways, versus just listen to me talk about marketing all the time. So that's one of those things that is really going to increase your connections, kind of on a broad level, is by just putting more you into your marketing. The other thing is actually having meaningful connections with your audience. And really what we're talking about here is having one-on-one conversations, actually connecting with them on a one-on-one regular basis. And so typically I believe most of Jen's audience is on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook and your people are on Facebook, if you have a Facebook group, definitely have like not just engage with them, on social media, like on the various posts. The more you can actually have messenger conversations, the better off you're going to be. With email, I'm a huge fan, as Jen knows, of a software called BombBomb.com, where you could send personalized video messages to people. Again, the more you do this, it really builds up your well. It's this idea of sowing and reaping. We're gardening. This is what we're doing. We want to be gardening on a regular basis. So we want to be broadcasting our personality, and in parallel with that, we want to be gardening with these one-on-one. We're always gardening, but we're also as part of our gardening, we also have this one-on-one connection. So that's really going to increase your conversions. And maybe I like all these things. What can I tell you? And I'm just realizing, and I think, oh, this is my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing. The other thing when it comes to increasing your conversions is one of my true favorites. One of the things that I'm very well known for is creating marketing events, AKA launches. The best kind of way you're going to increase your conversions to sell any kind of product, whether it's a course or whether it's some kind of coaching program, is by creating marketing events. I like to say that the momentum is the most powerful force of all of business, and the best way to create momentum in your business is with a launch. The reason why is because a launch is going to give you the maximum amount of money in the shortest amount of time possible. And so the thing about launches is that a launch really is, again, it's an event that happens in real time with a beginning, middle, and an end. A lot of people have this misconception that it's only, so what I'm getting at there is that it doesn't need to be this big, 2 to 3 or deal where you have all these affiliates and raw mailing for you at the same time. That's cool. You can do that. But sometimes a launch could just be, a week, what I would call a marketing event is a week long, live webinar promotion, for example, or a 5-day or a 3-day challenge that leads to some kind of product. Even like a 24-hour, 48-hour Black Friday type sale. That's like an event because it has a beginning, middle, and an end. So, and I really, and Jen is a master of this these days. You want to have a launch rhythm for your business where like, you look at your calendar, you want to be doing kind of bigger marketing promotions on a regular basis. And then of course you have your smaller promotions on a regular basis. And if you do this, so hopefully you can see how these things are all working together. I'll kind of show you a couple of case studies, or I'll share with you a few kind of case studies in a second. So that's okay. And as far the other way for increase, so we talk about connections, meaningful connections, marketing events, and $1 million conversations. Really, what I'm getting at here is if you're going to sell more, the more you're willing to actually get on the phone and have sales calls with people. And the good thing about that is that a sales call really is the most powerful selling environment you could possibly have, because you could talk to somebody directly and figure out exactly what their problems are, what their goals are, and how you can serve them. And then of course, if it's a good fit, you can make their offer. The good thing there is that I mentioned, if you're trying to sell courses on a web page, your copy does have to be really, really good. You don't really have much margin for error because people are going to go on your web page and they're either going to buy or they're not. But if you have a sales call with somebody, you have all sorts of margin for error, because not only do you have that connection, but again, you can find out exactly what they're looking for. And again, if it makes sense, you can kind of craft your language so they see that what you have is going to solve their problem, and it's going to really make a big difference in their life. You can't do that. The only way you can really do that is with a personal sales call. So the point I'm getting at here is that really for anything, depending on what level you're at, again, if you're, how would I say this? I wouldn't do a sales call to sell like a $50 product, or a $100 product, but if I was like at earlier stages and if I had like a $500 or $1,000 course, I would totally be willing to get on sales calls with people, because $500 is $500. So really, if you're selling and if you're kind of past that stage, even if you're selling your $2,000 course, if you're willing to get on sales calls to sell your $2,000 course, you're going to make more sales, even your $1,500 course. And of course, it's very, very, very difficult to sell anything more than $2,000, like $5,000, $10,000 without a sales conversation. And the good thing here again is that when it comes to sales conversations, 90% of the battle is just showing up. A lot of the scripts, they're pretty much the same. And it's all just about following the script and going and being in integrity. And again, you will make so much money. That really the fastest way for anyone here to make like a lot of money, to make like, let's if your life depended on it, let's just using an extreme example. If your life depended and you had to make $10,000, especially if you didn't have a list. If you had a list, then it wouldn't be that difficult. Or if you had a captive audience. But if your life dependent and you had to make 10, well, it's still the same thing. What I'm getting at is that the fastest way to make $10,000 is to go find somebody who has the ability to give you $10,000, get them on a call, and make them an offer for you. Does that make sense? But so hopefully you can see. So what I like to do now, I guess I can talk about this now. So one of the reasons I have this process for where I show my clients how to make at least $50,000 in 50 days, and a big part of that is basically by combining what we've just been talking about here, combining the meaningful connections with a marketing event like a 5-day challenge or a webinar or a series of webinars or a 3-part video series. And then the call to action is going to involve getting people on calls with us where we can then make our high-end offer. And so it's like, in a lot of ways, 50K in 50 days sounds like it's really difficult, but a lot of times what we're looking to do, it's getting 10 people to pay us $5,000. And the truth of the matter is, if you're even if you have 500 people following you, let's say, that's, what is it? That's like, what is that? That's not a huge percentage. What's 10 out of 5? It's like only a few percent, right? Like 10 out of 500 people. It's not a huge people, not a lot of people. And another thing here, I didn't actually go into this, but there always, when we're talking about prices at the beginning, one of the things I forgot to mention is that there always is the top 3% of people who want the best thing, who want the best, most expensive thing. So really, even if you have a list of only 500 people or even 300 people, you can make a quick, $30,000 by just going out and finding that top 3% of people and then making them your offer. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I know we're kind of I just have so much to say about all these topics. Okay, so we talked about, just a quick recap, we talked about price, the price lever, the customer's lever. Then we just talked about the sales conversation lever, sales conversion lever. I gave you kind of my 3 favorite tactics for that. Next thing is leads. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about leads because this is something that everybody knows about and everybody is into this. Obviously, if you didn't do anything more in your business and you got twice the amount of leads as you're currently having, then your business would probably increase quite a bit if you did nothing else. So we all know that leads make us more money. So the one my point of this is to not, I don't want to I'm not really trying to sell you on the idea of getting more leads. We all want to get more leads, of course, but I don't want to. My point of this is that there's 5 ways to grow a business. Getting more leads is just one of them. So I want you to focus on those other 4 kind of more than like a lot of people do. They just think that it's just that one. But so one tip I would give you when it comes to leads is one of the other fastest ways to grow a business or strategies, let's say, is like an overarching strategy, is just take a look at what's already working in your business and double down on it. So here's where, we talk about the 80-20 rule. Most likely your best leads, or I'm sure 100%, I'm positive, if you look at your best leads, if you look at your top leads, if you look at the last 5, the last 10 people that became clients and or customers of yours, if you look at them, you're going to find some kind of commonality. Like you're going to find that they maybe came from the same, they might have all came from Facebook generally, but maybe they came from a specific Facebook group, or they might have all so they might have come from a specific lead source, or maybe they came from, your association with some other expert, for example. They all came from, they were all referred by this one expert. Like you have this one referral partner that's getting you all your best leads, for example. You might even find that they all have a commonality. Jen will probably laugh at this one. When I looked at my my clients, many of my A-player clients are like, no, the vast majority were all brown-haired mothers that had sons. and so with that information, I kind of would have my eye out for who my ideal people were. Like on Facebook, for example, if I saw a brown haired a brown haired mother who was also a kind of coach expert type, then I knew that that was someone who was going to be right in my wheelhouse. So again, big picture. What my big thing when it comes to leads that I want to share with you today is basically look at what's working and double down on that. Okay, final tip here is time. So the idea here is that, again, if all you did, most people don't spend enough time on money making activities, things that are actually moving their business forward. And really, what we're talking about specifically are sales and marketing related activities, things that are bringing in customers, things that are bringing in sales. So basically, the things that we're talking about today, quote unquote, doing marketing, getting your message out there, doing a launch, being on, going on social media, making an offer. Most people are not spending enough time on these things. And the truth of the matter is that if you ask, I've done surveys about this in quite a few different seminars. If you take a group of even really high level entrepreneurs, how much time they spend each day on average on money making activities, it's a really low number. The average is the average is 1.5 hours, 90 minutes per day. And even with high level groups, things that are actually moving their business forward. So it's typically it's between 1 to 2 hours. But the point I'm getting at here is that if all you did was identify what your money making activities are, and of course Jen's really great at supporting you with this, is if all you did was find out what your money making activities were and double the amount of time you did those things, that itself is going to exponentially increase your business. So of course there's more to it than that. Jen's the master of systems. We want to be able to be more productive and things like that. But other thing to consider is my friend Paul Lumberg. He's one of these true $1 million consultants that I mentioned earlier. He talks about this idea. He calls it the no strategy. The idea here is that if the only strategy I gave you was spend your time on money making activities, just do things that move your business forward, do things that bring in sales and revenue, and just keep moving forward, kind of just pushing, like a jackhammer. If all you did was that and just kept moving forward, you would eventually get great results, because as you just take action by learning by doing, you are going to make mistakes, but then you're going to find what's working. I think it was General Patton who said something along the lines that's kind of similar. He said, I don't mind if my soldiers are marching in the wrong direction, as long as they're marching, because I can get them going in the right direction. This is the kind of thing. Most people, they're so overwhelmed, they're so distracted that they think they're actually moving forward, but they're actually just on a treadmill, right? So if you just decide today to move forward, you are going to make a lot of amazing progress. Okay, cool. So I want to, so that is the, those are the 5 things. I want to very quickly just show you how these things can exponentially increase, and then I'll kind of give you a couple other examples. So we have price, customers, sales conversions, leads, time. So here's a very kind of quick version of what this looks like. Let's say, for example, can I just have 16 minutes? Is that okay?
I'll do my business.
Okay, thanks. So the things are, what was I going to say? Got a little distracted here. My dad, I'm hijacking his office this morning. He's a very sweet man. Okay, cool. So let's say, for example, you have a $2,000 product, and you're actually, let's do just an easier run example. Let's say you have a $5,000 product. You have a 3-month coaching program that you sell for $5,000, and you're typically getting 5 leads per month, and you're making 1 sale per month. And so you're making your $5,000 a month. That's super cool. Now, if all you did was double your prices, so instead of having a $5,000 program, you have a $10,000 program. If you did nothing else, now you're making $10,000 a month. You've doubled your income, right? And then let's say, just to continue this example, let's say that you get a little bit better at sales calls. You increase your sales conversions. Maybe you do a launch that's also going and do this connection stuff that we've been talking about. And as a result of those kinds of things, instead of making selling 1 out of 5 people, you sell 2 out of 5 people. So now you've gone from $10,000 a month to $20,000 a month. That's super cool. And then of course, if maybe we can kind of figure out we could be a little more strategic. We can not just figure out what our best lead source is, but we can also figure out, so we can kind of double down on what's there. But we're also just spending more time generating leads than we were before. We've increased our time. Hold on one sec. And instead of getting 5 leads per month, we're getting 10 leads per month. So now we've gone from 40,000. Now this is an extreme example, but hopefully you can just see how this works. So now we've gone from like $40,000 a month to $80,000 a month, right? Again, it's not exactly this simple, it's not exactly that easy, but it is that simple. So hopefully you can see how all these things compound on one another. And really for anyone listening to this, what I really recommend you do is kind of the fastest way for you to really accelerate your revenue is to do the things that we're talking about and create your own marketing event where you have like a higher end offer, ideally, where you raise your prices and do the connection things that we're talking about and get people on calls. That is, again, it's a formula for making, 50K in 50 days. And okay, let me just check in. And then actually, I'll just get into it now. So Jen, I do have a special invitation for people who want to go deeper into this. Is it cool if I share that with the crowd?
Yes, please do.
Okay, good stuff. All right, cool. So first of all, has everybody got value out of this? Hopefully you got some insights and ahas. I would just love to hear your quick feedback. Any comments or notes there, Jennifer?
We have someone had a couple of questions. Someone said significant information about the sales calls. And do you have any advice for selling during these crazy times?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Okay, cool. We'll get the questions in a second. Let me so hopefully people are getting a lot out of this. And if you, hopefully you got a lot out of this. I really am giving you a lot of my absolute best information, but we really just have scratched the surface on everything that we can, everything I think I can support you with. So if you want to go deeper into any of these things, I invite you to join my upcoming program that I'm doing, which is called the Player Incubator. This is my program where I'm going to show you step by step how to make at least $50,000 in the next 50 days while making a bigger impact and while only working with awesome clients that you love. This program officially kicks off as an 8-week kind of intense implementation container on July 20th. And then there's 2 weeks of pre-work, which is going to start next week. So it's actually a 10-week program. And in this program, you're going to get really access to all of my best content on all these things we talked about. The core of it is the complete 50-day and 50K curriculum, where that's where I'm going to show you step by step how to really have your own marketing event and how to raise your prices, how to be that micro celebrity that we talked about. Really all the things that we've been talking about today, but just kind of like the entire picture, and not just bits and pieces. And again, we have the 8 weeks of support. I actually do 2 coaching calls per week. We have an accountability call as well as a mastermind call. And these calls are they're to keep you on track, and they're also to cover any blocks that you have. So you really have me, as your coach at your side for the entire 8-week period. And also it's this really awesome implementation environment where we have some really cool tracking and gamification and things like that. We have some kind of fun contests. So it's really going to force you to really stretch outside your comfort zone and do those things that you probably know you should be doing, but you haven't had the courage to step out and do yet. So that'll be really awesome. And then you're also getting access to all of my templates, my ultimate swipe file, kind of all the examples of all the different kind of promotions that we've been talking about, the kind of bigger launches, the challenges, the 3-part video series, the webinar scripts, the sales graph, basically anything you need to really, really knock it out of the park with your 50-day and 50K promotion. you're going to get that here. And so that is the main offer. You're going to get the 50K and 50-day curriculum. You're going to get access to the 10 weeks really of support from me, as well as the all my swipes and templates. And the investment for this program is I think it's really, really, really going to surprise you. I mean, first of all, if all you did was make 50K in the next 50 days, how much would it be worth? How much would that be worth to you? And another question: what if you had a system for creating 50K in 50 days, and you could do it over and over and over again? And what if that system was the thing that finally catapulted you to that next level of growth in your business and got you to doing, multiple six figures, $500,000 a year, getting you on the way to seven figures? How much would that be worth to you? I hope a lot. I mean, as I mentioned before, to work with me privately, it's $100,000 a year. My high-level mastermind is $15,000 for 6 months, so it's a $30,000 per year investment. And you might be thinking that this program is what it probably should be, like a typical $5,000 to $10,000 program, but it is not. If you want to join the Player Incubator program that kicks off on July 20th, it is only one payment of $2,000 or 3 payments of $750. And you have a URL you can pop in there, Jennifer?
I got it in there.
All right, perfect. So there you go. So we'd love to join you there. And we do have a couple of, if you take action now, we do have a couple special bonuses as well that I think you're really going to like. Bonus number 1 is you're going to get, when you join the program today, you get a year access to my year-long Player Academy. This is a program where you get my monthly newsletter that has all my latest tactics and strategies to really keep you up to date on what's working now in the industry. And I also do a monthly group Q&A call in that program. So what that means is that when you join the program today, not only do you get the 2 months, the 8 weeks, 10 weeks of support from me, I'm also going to be riding with you for the next 10 months. So you're going to be able to ask me questions in a 10-month period after that. So again, there is no way that you're not going to get massive return on your investment from working with me for 12 months. I mean, Jen, I'm sure you would agree with me on that. And then there's 2 more fun bonuses. We also have another program that I'll put in there called the Anatomy of an A+ Player. This is a program where I really go deep into. We mentioned kind of time is really important for you to maximize your revenue. This is where we go deep into kind of all the strategies and routines and mindsets that you're really going to need to be that kind of awesome A-player goal-getting machine that you you can be. And then I know, Jennifer, for your people, I know before we kind of spontaneously before we started chatting here, you have a special bonus that you're also going to put in there for the people who join.
Yeah. So, God, I'm getting a bad echo. All of a sudden, do you hear it?
I don't hear it. You sound good to me.
Okay. Well, I have to cover my ears when I say it because I can't hear this come back to me. So we wanted to make sure that you guys got off to a great start. And I am so super excited about this. And I was like, so why don't we do like a joint VIP jumpstart session for you guys? So together, Ron and I are going to have a special session with you guys to get you kickstarted in this program. And I also want to say that these calls that he's offering every week. So 2 calls a week, right, Ron? Just like when I was in A-Players, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you all know me, you know my stuff. So when you saw Accelerator get offered, when you saw, when I started snail mailing you, like when all those things were happening, that was Ron. So I paid significantly more for the program that I was in, but got it back within 2 weeks. Like the return was there. So, I don't want to be selly seller, but I mean, I have to say that.
When you believe in what you're selling, Jennifer, sometimes it's hard, right? Cool. So, all right, yes, the link is there. Yeah, would love to see you in there. And actually, I'll do something just a little bit, maybe a little bit. I'm just thinking, I wasn't really planning on doing this. I'm not kidding. Jen, I love you. You're one of my legitimate all-time favorite A-players. And just for your people, please don't share this with anybody. If anybody joins like right now, like on this training, I'll happily throw in an extra 30-minute one-on-one call with them. So, and that's, I actually charge like $1,500 an hour. So again, this is a super mega fast action bonus. And again, I want to do that as a special solid for you, Jen. We have
thank you
for many reasons. So
also we had a question from Diane, who was like, is there a script for the sales call? Ron's, first of all, his black book and his list of resources, we joke about it because you just could say, I need a whatever. And Ron's like, here you go, bam, bam, bam. Do you need an example of how to get good referrals? Do you need an example of what a closed cart email looks like? Like all the things. And then when you show up for these calls, you're going to learn stuff, but then you're also held accountable. So you come in, you're like, this is what I've been working on. This is what my plans are. And this is what I'm stuck. So when he says, what did you do this week to increase your sales? Did you spend time doing stuff on your sales? Like, you're forced to go, okay, yeah, I'll make 10 more sales calls, and that makes a difference, is having someone you trust sort of push you to keep pushing you. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm interrupted you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely have sales call scripts in there. I have trainings on sales calls as well. So yeah, again, pretty much anything you need to succeed, it's pretty much in the program. This is really my life's work, kind of just handed to you on a silver platter. When I think about how much time and energy it's took me to learn all these things since I started marketing over 13 years ago. And then when I think about just the results it's got for my clients, people like Jennifer and many other people, again, I think this is a new brainer. So I know you have to go in a second here. So just a quick recap. When you join today, we have would love to see you in our upcoming 8-player incubator program. Again, you're going to get the complete 50-day recap of everything you get. You're going to get the complete 50K and 50-day training modules. You're going to get all of my resources and swipes and templates and examples, etc. You're going to get the 8 weeks of support calls, which we do 2 calls per week to hold you accountable and to answer any questions you have. And then as super special bonuses, you get year access to my 8-player academy. So I'll be writing with you for an entire year, not just the 8 weeks of this program. You're also going to get my brand new Anatomy of an A+ Player program and a couple special Jennifer only bonuses. The 2 of us are going to be doing a special VIP jumpstart session to really make sure that you hit the ground running with this program. And if you sign up really in the next couple of minutes, I will also do a 30-minute one-on-one call with you. Again, I charge $1,500 an hour for one-on-one. I actually don't really sell that. It's typically in longer engagement. So you're going to get the exact same insights that I give to people like Selena Sue and Denise Duffield Thomas and Jennifer Lehner and Laura Belgrade. So again, I think that's a total no-brainer. So that's what I got. Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. You are the best.
Thank you, Ron. This was really great. Everybody's saying this was really great. Valuable info, highly valuable, good stuff. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate your insight. So a lot of comments here, a lot of love coming from my beautiful people. And I hope people take advantage of this, because this is like a fraction of what I paid. And so, I'm just jumping up and down over it. So thank you so much, Ron. Everybody, if you have any questions, I'm around. Actually, we're headed into another live stream now for our Potpourri webinar series with Ann Reckness. So you can find that anywhere. Actually, find it in the front row. We'll be live in the front row. And if you have any questions, hit me up and I'll help you out.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.